Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester. And in today's video I'll be trying out this Jaguar XKR 400 convertible. This car was kindly lent to me by a gentleman named Phil, who owns a collection of classic cars, including this Jaguar X100 XKR. And if you are an XK owner of any generation and of any variant, or even an Aston Martin DB7, 6 or 12 cylinder, and you would like your car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. Now, I've already made a video on the Coupe XKR 4.2 X100, so if you want the full overview of this car, click on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. In this video, we're just going to focus on the convertible and the 400 variant. So the XKR 400 was a special edition of the X100 4.2 XKR, and Jaguar only made 100 of these, 60 coupes and 40 convertibles, so this soft top variant is even rarer. And they were all made in 1 year, 2003. And here are all the additions to this 400. And just like that Coupe XKR X100 that I drove, this is also a 4.2 litre V8 with a supercharger bolted on top. This voiceover only exists just to admire that engine. And here are some specs of this vehicle. So here is the front end of the XKR 400. It looks almost identical to the base car. And of course you've got the Jaguar emblem there, denoting that it's a supercharged variant. And interestingly, for 53, you get these two vertical slats here. But if you get a final year, like an 05, this would all be mesh. Because this car has the darkened headlights, you get xenon headlights. Earlier models will have it all clear with halogen only. And being a 4.2, the fog lights are flush as opposed to being recessed. Being an R, you've got these distinct R vents coming to the side. All 400s will have this BBS Montreal style wheels, and I do like the red calipers on this R model. And the owner of this car has swapped the badges to the newer style. And I forgot to mention the name of this colour is Platinum. Coming to the side, here's what the side profile looks like. Very similar to its sister car, the DB7. And here's what the car looks like with the roof up. Coming to the rear. The rear does seem a bit bulbous, but not by much over its coupe counterpart. Again, being an R, you've got these distinct dual exit exhausts, which are upgraded to quads on the final year. There's your obligatory XKR emblem and the chrome surrounds on the tail lights. Coming to the boot, press the Jaguar emblem in the middle and open. Again, a lot smaller than its coupe counterpart. Here's how much space you get. And to close the boot, you just simply pull on this tab. And because there's no rear window on a convertible when the roof is down, the high-level brake light is mounted right here. Again, a relic of its time. Adjustable aerial. Coming inside. Again, pretty much the same. Same flyaway handbrake, same R kick plates. But this darkened interior with the fake suede inserts is what's bespoke to this 400 model, including the black piano finish and the gear selector. And just like the coupe I drove, metal pedals. Even this convertible version has back seats, so that means one thing. Let's see what it's like in the back. That's me in. This would be a lot trickier with the roof up, of course, and already my feet can't get in, and that's me sat. But I'm not attempting to put the seat back up yet. And also you got, just like the coupe, storage behind the seats, both sides, The backrest is a little bit more upright, and you do get some cushions here in fake suede, as well as, again, the center sections of the back seats. And I'm going to get back out of here as soon as possible. There's not even any vents for the climate, so back out I come and into the business end of the car. And now coming inside, once again it's the same as the coupe, but being this 400 model it is slightly different. So for starters, you do get the R embroidery on the airbag cover, as well as on the base of the gear selector. Quick correction, on the coupe video I mentioned it's got the Mercedes 5-speed, it's actually got the ZF 6-speed. The 5-speed only made an appearance on the 4 litres. Again, black piano is distinctive to the 400 model, and I much prefer this darkened interior. And of course the roof is down. And yes, cup holders. And showing its age, an ashtray. And of course the obligatory sport button on automatic. And because it's a convertible, here is your roof control. And this was a techie car from back in its day, so you got lots and lots of physical buttons. It's very unlikely you'll see this many buttons today because it would be insufficient for a techie car of today. Fun fact, that is a repurposed Ford mirror switch, and not mentioned in the coupe video, a little place to store coins. So that's the exterior and interior done now, so let's see what this car is like to drive. So seatbelt on. Foot on the brake, twist the key, and of course it's a 4.2, waiting for the revs to drop, and woo, that's a really loud supercharger whine. Soft limiter at 4,500 RPM. The whine definitely sounds louder in this particular model. Let's put the roof up. This cannot be done while on the move, so might as well put it up for now. Windows back up. And off we go. So steering, just like on that coupe model, is way more longer travel. It doesn't feel as short ratioed as the newer Jaguars that I'm used to. Visibility is still good. I do feel a little claustrophobic with this roof. Generally speaking, the coupe is more practical. The indicator stalks are the same ones you get in a DB7 or any other cars from the Blue Oval. You do get the odd buttons on the steering wheel for phone and cruise control, and this 4-prong steering wheel, I think a 3-prong would suit the R model better, but otherwise this is based off of another car. And I think this steering wheel is also from the Ford parts bin. It looks very similar to what you get from a Land Rover, as well as an Aston Martin, as well as the Ford Crown Victoria, albeit with a slightly different airbag housing. This 6-speeder is once again very smooth. I have driven the coupe around Newport, but at least with this convertible I'm in a more familiar location. And just like any other Jaguar from this period, the dials glow blue at night. Interestingly, this car was averaging 30.2 mpg. And just like on newer Jaguars, you just press the button on the end of the indicator stalk to change the trip. But that's the general nature of a convertible. This mirror does sort of eat into forward visibility ever so slightly, and the dash is quite high up, but that does give you the sense that you're hemmed in, that you're in your own little bubble. And oh yeah, and this car even has a cassette player. And off we go. Very smooth accelerator, very good visibility. That was a Lexus IS estate. And overall, it's a brilliant GT car. The accelerator is also very smooth. I'm just letting the gearbox do its own thing. And the ZF gearbox has always been the industry standard. Of course, back then it only had 6 gears. The cup holders are a little shallow for these bottles, but back then most cars didn't really have cup holders, at least here in Britain. And those cups that did would have them shooting out of the dash or the center console. But this is still one of the better cup holders of its time. Off we go. Again, this car does very well keeping it in its lowest gear. I'm currently doing 40 in Eastern Avenue and the car just revs just over 1500 RPM. Again, the brakes are very, very smooth. I'm sure they're definitely effective when doing some spirited driving, but that's for later on, really. Turning right on a roundabout. The steering wheel does tilt upwards slightly. It's not as straight as other Jaguars. It still feels like close at the bottom and far away at the top. But that could be due to packaging reasons. And, well, I'm in Barton Street already, so every single undulation I'm going through, but I still feel cocooned, despite being a convertible. Again, the coupe is definitely more isolated. And despite having these BBS Montreal wheels, the speed bumps are almost unnoticeable. It is worth mentioning that even though this car was originally going to be called the F-Type, but MG then ended up making a sports car called the MGF. Full explanation on the coupe video. Of course, this car is technically a DB7 underneath, as well as an XJS. And if you would like to see me drive an XJS, click on the top right hand corner of the screen, or in the link in the description down below. At the bottom of the wheel, it's very easy to drive one-handed. Not that I drive one-handed, of course. And steering input, again, it is very long travel due to the size of the rim, but it is not exactly tricky. I just wish that the steering wheel was more like this, like on the F-Type. And I think the later DB7s had a smaller steering wheel. And again, if you are an Aston Martin owner and you would like your car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. There is no hold assist in this car, but I'm not really complaining because the brake pedal is very assisted. And the J-gate in this one still feels damped. I remember when driving the coupe it felt a bit clattery. And this black piano midsection has actually aged very well. Normally they're full of scratches, normally they cheapen out an interior, but here it actually looks very good, though personally I would rather have the wood. Maybe the darker wood that was in the coupe that I drove. And again, the gear selector is very smooth to operate. There's even a reassuring click for every gear you put it in. That was a Bentley Continental. And of course you got the sport button right there. Considering its age, I think it's easily a daily-able car. A very premium daily-able car as well. I don't feel like I'm compromising on anything at all. except maybe for phone connectivity. But that's really, really pedantic. Someone's doing a three-pointer in front of me. And I'm in the city centre right now. Manoeuvrability. Again, if it weren't for the massive wheel travel, I think it would have been effortless. And due to the size of the steering wheel, I do feel like I'm turning my arms a bit too much. But other than that, steering still feels nice and direct. I remember on the XJS it felt very, very vague. But here it's nice and crisp. Here comes a right-hander. Yep, that was a full turn, just to turn ever so slightly. One thing this car definitely does better is that there's lots of padding on the armrest. That was the bottle falling off. Luckily it was empty. There's lots of padding on the doors and on the center armrest. So on a long distance journey, your shoulders won't feel too bruised. And city driving in Gloucester, again, it does very well. I'm sure this steering wheel, due to its size and due to the immense amount of travel, will require a lot of energy. So maybe in Bristol that could be a much bigger issue, but that's for a different city. Tight left-hander, how does this car cope? And turn. A little bit of body roll, but not major, but lots of steering travel. And interestingly, with the seats in this arm model, you do get the bolsters here, but not on the shoulders, but then you get the bolsters on the headrest, like some first class seat, either in a train or in a plane. So yeah, I do quite like these headrests, though I am wearing a cap, and I still think shoulder supports would have been more beneficial than having bolsters on the headrest. There's only one last thing to check, see what it's like in the open road. Okay, making my way over to the bypass to see what it's like on the open road. There is no drive mode here, other than this sport button here, which obviously turns the gearbox into its sport mode, keeps the car in a lower gear when driving in automatic mode. And if I just do this, the supercharger whine kicks in. I'll never get tired of the sound of a supercharger whine. I still can't put my foot down all the way just yet. We're not in the 70 zone just yet. And of course I can just change the gear myself, like so. Okay, making my way onto the national speed limit. Body roll is coming through a bit more. It's definitely GT car first and sports car second, as opposed to the F-Type, which is the other way round. Clear, so floor it. The exhaust does pop when letting go of the accelerator, and obviously that's in sport mode. Here we come to another roundabout. Okay, yeah, definitely need a lot more braking due to the seats not being as supportive as I would like them to be. In that case, it feels more like a muscle car than a sports car when putting your foot down. Wind noise is definitely a lot more apparent in this convertible model, especially from here somewhere. That aside, it's still well insulated acoustically. I can't really hear the V8 at all, just the supercharger whine every time I put my foot down. And at 70, this car does less than 2000 RPM, I would say about 1900 RPM. Very empty here on the bypass. Okay, on the roundabout now, doing a U-turn. Again, due to the steering and the shape of the steering wheel, it sort of reminds me of the S55 that I drove. And while we're here, let's put it into manual mode. Back onto the slip road. Drop it down a gear, drop it down another gear, drop it down to second, floor it. Okay, I just went from second to fourth. The gear selector is a little vague when going sequentially. And there is a notable delay when I change gear, maybe like a second and a half. And since this car is a convertible, let's quickly pull up somewhere safe and put the roof down, since the roof won't operate while on the move. Despite not being the sportiest of sports cars, definitely a GT car with a big V8, it is still an absolute hoot to drive. And it will tolerate these roads, but just about. I think a DB7 will be more of a sports car to drive. So that's the roof off now, so let's get back on the road. Once again, the steering I should say, is showing its disadvantage in this supermarket car park. But I'm sure most XK8 owners and XKR owners don't take theirs to just poodle to the shops. Turn right on this roundabout, once again a bit of body roll. Left. Ooh, sun's coming out. Straight on. Obviously, with the roof down, you do get a lot more wind noise, but that is easily made up for by the sound of the exhaust you get. And here comes the dual carriageway. And that's the national speed limit, and foot down. I can never get tired of that sound. Again. Luckily I'm wearing a cap. It is very, very windy. And there's no wind deflector on the front of the car. So let's see what it's like in manual mode. The moment I put it on sport, it just really wants to shoot off, especially on this roundabout. And back into manual I go. even with this top level R400 model, I think the gearbox is just better off left in its automatic mode. I still don't feel the urge to row through my own gears. That's a red light. Yeah, I don't feel like I still want to change the gears myself in this car, despite being the high performance model. And Jaguar did experiment a manual XKR called the XKRR, but it didn't make it to production because of Aston Martin with their DB7 GT. That's a siren. That's an ambulance. So, lane 2. So let's take this car back to the car park and finalize this video. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Jaguar XKR 400. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers!